This is Microsoft Sentinel. In the next 15 minutes, I'll show you what it is, why it exists, where it sits in the Microsoft security stack, and how agentic AI is changing it in 2026 and beyond. Then, we will jump into the product itself. I'll show you every section in the portal and what each one is for, all before you connect a single data source. No fluff, no marketing, just the product and how it actually works. Let's go. Quick intro, I'm Sinu, Senior Security Engineer at an MSSP. I help customers onboard Sentinel and Defender for Endpoint across workstations and servers on both Windows and Linux. This is video 1 of a new Sentinel Foundations playlist. If you are studying for SC200 or running Sentinel in production, this series is for you. Let's get into it. So, what is Sentinel and why does it exist? Microsoft Sentinel is a cloud-native SIEM and SOAR. SIEM means Security Information and Event Management. One place to collect logs from every system you have, query them, and detect threats. SOAR adds the automation. Sentinel can respond to incidents without an analyst clicking a button. Why does it exist though? Because every modern organization runs 30, 50, sometimes hundreds of systems producing logs, endpoints, identity, email, cloud, SaaS, firewalls, custom applications, etc. Attackers don't respect tool boundaries, they move across them. To catch that, you need one pane of glass that sees all of it. That's Sentinel. Its job comes down to 4 things: detecting threats fast, giving analysts the context to investigate them, automate the repetitive paths of response, and retain the data long enough to meet your compliance requirements and threat hunt across history. That's the whole purpose. Everything else is implementation detail. So where does Sentinel sit in the Microsoft security stack? Think of the Microsoft security stack as 3 layers. At the bottom, the sensors. Defender for Endpoint protects your devices. Defender for Identity watches identity threats across Active Directory and Entra ID. Defender for Office 365 protects your email. Defender for Cloud watches your Azure and multi-cloud workloads. And Entra ID is your identity backbone. Each one is a sensor in its own area. Defender XDR sits in the middle. It's the unified portal that pulls all those sensor signals into one place. Fast, native, scoped to your Microsoft estate. Sentinel sits on top. Sentinel takes everything Defender XDR sees, plus AWS, Okta, Palo Alto, CrowdStrike, on-prem firewalls, custom apps, anything you can pipe in. It adds long retention, KQL across every table, and SOAR playbooks for automation. So how does Sentinel actually protect an organization? 4 mechanisms. The first one is detection. Out-of-the-box analytic rules, machine learning-based anomaly detections, and Microsoft's modern custom detections fire the moment a threat pattern shows up in your data. And of course, you can add your own analytic rules based on the data you're ingesting. The second is investigation. When something fires, Sentinel groups the related alerts into one incident. It maps the users, devices, and IPs involved, and it gives the analyst a timeline and an entity graph instead of raw logs to sort through. The third mechanism is automated response, and this is the SOAR. SOAR playbooks can disable a user's account, isolate an endpoint, post on Teams, or open a ticket without an analyst ever touching the incident. The fourth mechanism, and this is where 2026 and beyond gets interesting, is agentic AI. Microsoft Security Copilot is now built into the unified portal, and Microsoft is shipping autonomous AI agents that work inside Sentinel and Defender XDR. Take the phishing triage agent. It looks at every phishing email a user reports, it classifies it as a real threat or a false alarm, and it explains its reasoning. 30 minutes of analysts' work per email collapsed into 0. More agents are landing through 2026 and beyond, covering conditional access optimization, vulnerability remediation, and scheduled threat intelligence briefings. And the Sentinel data lake is the long-term data store all these agents work against. The honest take, AI is not replacing SOC analysts, not as of yet anyway. It's freeing analysts, if anything, from Tier 1 work so they can focus on the Tier 2 and Tier 3 thinking that needs human judgment. If you are investing in Sentinel in 2026, this is the path to pay attention to. Okay, now that you have the foundations down, let's jump into Sentinel itself and take a look at the demo instance I have created. If I click on this demo Sentinel instance, the first thing we'll notice is a message saying this page has moved to the Defender portal, so it won't load here. The reason that shows up is because as soon as I created Sentinel, it was automatically integrated and connected to Defender XDR behind the scenes. What we'll do is, let's jump to the security.microsoft.com portal, the homepage for Defender XDR, and look at this integration to understand it better. In XDR, if I go to Settings and then go to Microsoft Sentinel, you will see the same workspace. It is connected as the primary workspace, and that's the reason we saw that message earlier on the screen. From here, we simply refresh, and there you go. It loads the overview and shows information about the Sentinel GUI permanently moving into Defender portal from March 31st, 2027, which is expected. There are a few components here, but the first one we'll talk about is data connectors. Sentinel's whole purpose is to run KQL analytic rules on the raw logs you ingest. So, the first place we'll go is the data connectors page. On the screen, you can see the Defender XDR integration is automatically connected. What that means is the Defender XDR data connector was wired up for me automatically, and on the right hand side, you can see the Defender XDR suite includes Defender for Identity, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Office 365, etc. So all these components, all those data connectors have already been activated through the Defender XDR portal for me. That's why they show as green and connected. What does this mean in practice? Let's say your Defender for Cloud, your workstations or your servers are sending incidents and alerts into the Defender XDR portal. Because of this integration to XDR with Sentinel, every alert that comes up in XDR will automatically surface in Sentinel, and you will see under Threat Management these incidents under the Incident section. Traditionally, this incidents page has been the pane of glass analysts work from every environment, and if you toggle the auto refresh incident switch, the page automatically refreshes with the latest incidents coming in. Now that we have data connectors ingesting data into Sentinel, the next step is to run KQL analytic queries on top of this data. So let's go into Analytics. Once we open Analytics, you will see that this is a fresh new environment. There are no active KQL rules yet, but you can create your own schedule queries by clicking on Create, Schedule Query Rule. Microsoft Sentinel, by the way, also provides out-of-the-box rule templates that you can browse and filter. For example, if you filter the templates based on, let's say, Azure Activity and apply the filter, there are all these rules Microsoft has created out of the box for you. If I click on one of these templates, it shows you the description, the table the query runs against, and how often it runs. In this case, the rule runs every so and so days at this frequency, and it looks past for so many days of data. From here, if you click on Create, and that takes you through the portal wizard, you follow these steps and it creates your KQL rule for you. Just for the demo, I'll click through the wizard. We'll go through the details in a later video. What I want to show you is how to create a rule, save it, and how it shows up in your analytics. Once this is saved, back in Analytics, remember active rules was 0. Now it shows one active KQL analytic rule. If you expand the flyout pane on the right hand side, you will see the details and you can edit it as you see fit for your environment. To summarize what we have covered so far, A Sentinel instance has been created. It's been connected to Defender XDR behind the scenes. The first Sentinel workspace you connect becomes the primary workspace. What this means is any alerts and incidents collected by Defender XDR will automatically surface in your Sentinel instance. To pull in your own data, you use data connectors to bring in logs from various sources, and KQL analytic rules runs on top of those logs. If anything suspicious is detected, the rules will alert you, and those alerts and incidents land in the incident section under threat management. That, on a high level, is how Sentinel works. Now, what about the SOAR side? SOAR stands for Security Orchestration, Automation, and Response. And in Sentinel, SOAR is delivered through two building blocks that work together: automation rules and playbooks. If you get into the automation section, the first thing we'll see is the Automation Rules tab. Automation rules are the native in Sentinel automation, no logic apps required. You use them for the simple, repetitive incident handling tasks, assigning incidents to an owner, tagging them, changing their status, closing noisy false positives, or running a checklist of tasks for the analyst to follow. The second building block is playbooks, and this is where Logic Apps comes in. A playbook is built on Azure Logic Apps, which gives you access to hundreds of connectors, your Microsoft security stack, Teams, ServiceNow, third-party providers, you name it. So, playbooks handle the more complex sequences, enriching an alert with data from another system, isolating a user across multiple platforms, or opening a ticket in ServiceNow and posting to a Teams channel at the same time. And here's the key bit: automation rules can call playbooks, so you can chain them together. For example, an automation rule fires when a phishing incident is created. It tags the incident, assigns it to the email response team, and then calls a playbook that detonates the URL, pulls the verdict from Defender, and posts the result back as a comment on the incident. We will go through both automation rules and playbooks in detail later in the playlist. That, in a nutshell, is the SOAR side of Sentinel, and we're just getting started. Alright, let's do a quick recap. Microsoft Sentinel is a cloud-native SIEM and SOAR, and it sits on top of your Microsoft security stack. When you first connect a Sentinel workspace to the Defender portal, three things happen automatically. The first is that the workspace you connect becomes your primary workspace. Second, the Defender XDR connector is wired up for you. Every alert coming in from Defender suite, such as endpoints, Office 365, identity, etc., they flow into Sentinel automatically. And the third and final bit is that on top of all of this, Microsoft Security Copilot agents are now landing inside Portal to take routine work off the analyst queue. In the next video, we will connect some data connectors and look at how each one works. Because some data connectors are straightforward, a single click and they are connected. Others are a bit more involved, and we'll walk through both kinds with examples. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you in the next video.